youtube.com/MugenLord. Subscribe to the channel for gaming news, updates, discussion, and live streams. Signing off.
Hey everyone, this is MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video. And today we're going to talk about Sony. It seems like it's just been a theme that's going on this week. We're just talking about individual companies and not just talking about one particular genre of games. We just talking about the overall companies. We talked about, of course, yesterday we talked about Microsoft and the Xbox, and then we talked about Capcom themselves and what they're doing with the whole arcade home edition of their Capcom products, and then we talked about SNK with Samurai Spirits. So today we're going to talk about Sony, is because we do know that there's been rumors that's been going around about next-gen consoles coming on the horizon, and we just have official information from Mark Cerny himself. If you don't know who Mark Cerny is, he's pretty much the architect behind the Sony consoles, mainly the PS4. So this guy officially came out to talk a little bit about the next gen console, which is PlayStation 5, which is pretty interesting. We've been hearing a lot of rumors about the PlayStation 5. We've been hearing a lot of rumors about the next gen Xbox, which could be Xbox 2. Who knows what the official name is going to be? So let's just dive right into it, because I think it's pretty interesting, and we don't really talk about much about consoles at all really on this channel. So I just thought that, hey, let's just talk about it. So from Siliconera, it says that PlayStation 5's first details from Sony with PS4 backwards compatibility, ray tracing, and SSD. Now, before we step into this article, I just want to let you guys know that I am not tech savvy with some of the things that's been mentioned, except for backwards compatibility and a little bit about SSD. But ray tracing, it just flew way over my head. So if you guys know anything about this stuff in the comment sections below, definitely let me know. So we're going to just move on. So it says Sony Interactive Entertainment lead architect Mark Cerny spoke with Wired in an interview to share the very first details on the company's next generation console that has yet to be revealed. Below are some of the highlights of the interview on this new console dubbed the PlayStation 5. Now, this is what I love about this right now, is because they did little bullet points instead of having a whole long discussion that we have to read through and everything. So let's go into these highlights. So Cerny, it says the key question is whether the console adds another layer to sorts of experiences you already have access to, or if it allows for fundamental changes in what a game can be. So according to Cerny, the next gen console will not release in 2019. However, a number of studios have been working with it, and Sony recently accelerated its development of dev kits in order to provide game creators with the time to adjust to its capabilities, which makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, if anybody was expecting that PS5 was going to release this year, you must be crazy. There's no way in the world they're going to announce the console this year and then want to have it out by the holidays. Now, the last company I know that made a mistake like that, and it really showed, was Sega, I believe, with the Sega Saturn. They officially announced the Sega Saturn at E3, and then they surprised everyone that the console was going to release within that same year after E3, like months after the E3 announcement. Which not only did it confuse a lot of stores like Toys R Us at the time, because Toys R Us was like was the main like holders of, you know, video game consoles at the time, and a few other places. So one, developers was just found out about it, so when the console dropped, there wasn't enough time to have enough software out for the console at all, for the Sega Saturn. And Sega Saturn did very, very poorly on its first year launch. It had no software, pretty much no software, and it was just console sitting there without any software at all. So it makes sense that Sony would not do that and release it this year. And they put out dev kits to let developers have enough time to work with it, which makes sense, because you want to have developers comfortable with it, to be able to see what they can do with the hardware and have competent titles to be launched alongside the PS5. So that makes sense. So we're going to move on. So it says Sony's next gen console will have an AMD chip based on the third generation of AMD's Ryzen line with 8 cores of the company's new 7nm Zen 2 micro architecture. That flew way over my head. Like, I really like whatever it is, and from the looks of this, this is some powerful stuff. And I definitely want to look at the third generation of AMD Ryzen line, because I definitely want to know what this is. Now, 8 cores, yes, that's really good. But as far as this other language, I really don't know at all. But if you guys know in the comment section, please let me know. All right, then we're gonna look at the GPU, the graphics processing unit here. It is a custom variant of Radeon's Navi family. It'll support ray tracing, a technique that models the travel of light to simulate complex interactions in 3D environments. So I guess from the looks of it, it's definitely going to help with the lighting and 3D environments and stuff, which to me, there's a big difference when you apply lightings and shadows to 3D models and to gaming in general. If you look at, especially on PC, if you remove, especially if you have a low power PC or you just want to experiment, when you lower the settings and remove some of the lighting from the game, some of the shadow effects, so you can get a better performance out of your games, you can look at that and see how bland the environments look, the textures, and how there's no lighting and everything. And then when you up your specs and everything to a particular game and put everything up on ultra or whatever settings, you can tell a big difference with the lighting. The lighting makes a game looks totally different than without it. So definitely, if they saying that the ray tracing is going to be like really good, best believe I'm looking forward to that, because it really brings out the environments in gaming all together and the characters. Alright, so the immediate effects of ray tracing mostly goes into the visual side of things, as it mimics the way light bounces from object to object in the scene, making it easier to more accurately render reflective surfaces and refractions through glass or liquid, which makes pretty good. It makes sense. Is because, like I said, if you guys don't know, I also create 3D hentai and everything like that, so I mess around with lighting and shading and stuff like that. And when you remove the lighting, like I said, from a particular environment, and how the light, and when there's no light and there's no light bouncing on the characters and stuff, the characters even themselves look kind of bland. But once you put lighting in a particular setting, you can watch how the light bounces off the environment onto the characters, and you can see the smoothness of the character's skin and how reflective they are, even down to their eyes and everything. So I definitely know how that is, and it does make a big difference. So it says that Sony on ray tracing. If you wanted to run tests to see if the player can hear certain audio sources, or if the enemies can hear the player's footsteps, ray tracing is useful for that. It's all the same thing as taking a ray through the environment. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about this, about how the audio from the PS3 to PS4, they haven't really changed much as far as the dynamic capabilities of the audio, to where you want to hear every detailed sound effect. So especially if you have surround sound and everything, you want to be able to hear the direction of where the sound is coming from, which makes the games much more immersive. And if you think about multiplayer games and how that is when you play first-person shooters and everything of that sort, where if you have that dynamic sound and you have, especially if you have surround sound, it can pretty much almost give you a competitive edge in a way where you just look like, wait a minute, like I hear something coming from over here, look that direction and stuff like that. I think that's pretty neat. Sound also play a big impact in the immersion of a game and the quality of the game as well. So definitely, that sounds like it's going to be really good. And it says Sony on AMD's chip custom unit for 3D audio. As a gamer, it's been a little bit of frustration that audio did not change too much between, as I said before, PS3 and the PlayStation 4. With the next console, the dream is to show how dramatically different the audio experience can be when we apply significant amounts of hardware horsepower. So yes, audio is going to be, from the looks of it so far, lighting is going to be very powerful, and it's going to play a major role in the development of the 3D environments and how they are displayed on screen, and also, of course, the audio and how crisp and how immersive is going to have towards your gaming experience, which is going to be pretty cool as well. So when asked whether there will be a next-gen PSVR to go along with the PlayStation 5, Sony says VR is very important to the company, and the current PS VR headset is compatible with the new console. Nice, but didn't share more on that. However, with the new CPU and GPU ability to deliver unprecedented visuals and audio effects in the game, it doesn't rule out the possibility of an upgraded version in the future. Yes, it seems like, even from the rumors that I've been hearing about the PlayStation 5, that with the next gen console, Sony's going to focus really heavily on on VR. VR is something they really want to try to push, which I'm all for. And the sad thing is, like, my father, he got the PlayStation VR for the PS4. I have yet to get it. It's getting cheap now, so I'm gonna eventually pick one up this year. I'm gonna have PlayStation VR this year. But from what I played, I like it. It's just sad that right now it's still not enough software that takes advantage of the PlayStation VR at the moment, and that's the only reason why I haven't bought one yet, because there haven't been a lot of software out there that I want to like really invest in a PlayStation VR to really give it a try or anything. So if the PS5, with the PS5, they talking about pushing VR capabilities to the next level, and if they have the software to support that, I'm definitely going to be on board with this, because I really want to get into VR. I really want to see where VR is going to head and what direction it's going to head as far as gaming is concerned. So I'm really looking forward to that. So what what Sony finds more exciting is the hard drive. Yes, let's get into that. What he considers the key to the next generation. Dude demonstrated the decreased loading times of Sony's next generation console. Sony compared the loading time of the 2018 PS4 title Spider-Man running on the PS4 Pro, which took about 15 seconds for Spidey to fast travel. When doing the same thing on next gen dev kits and early low speed version connected to a different TV, it only took 0.8 seconds. That's not even a second. And they're saying that fast travel, you hardly notice the loading between that. So that's very interesting, but the thing is, it'll be more impressive to see how they'll handle that on a PS5 game. This is just a PS4 game, so I would expect that to, for the loading and everything to be really fast. So the real test is to see how it will respond to a PlayStation 5 game, and then we can start actually clapping about that. And I think load time is very important when it comes to games. So it says, Sony, no matter how powered up you get as Spider-Man, you can never go any faster than this, because that's simply how fast we can get the data off the hard drive. During this demonstration, Sony paused the action to prove that the surrounding environment remained crisp while the demonstration was used with a 4K TV. The next generation console will support 8K graphics. Now that is ridiculous. Now I have a 4K TV. The space that I'm in right now is really not that big right here, and I'm about to expand my space pretty soon, so I can't fit my 4K TV in this area. So I haven't even unboxed my 4K TV. I'm just now getting the 4K TV, and the thing is, 4K TV haven't still found its way into the living rooms, across many different living rooms just yet. People are still fine with the 1080p resolution. So for them to support up to 8K, that is ridiculous. I was surprised when I even heard 8K a few months ago. I said, wait a minute, we were on 8K already? Like, I'm just now getting to 4K. What's going on here? I don't even have a 4K monitor for my gaming and everything, and for my PC. So that's ridiculous. Now, whether or not if it's going to be native or upscale 8K, I really don't know. We just have to wait and see. So Sony wouldn't share details about the SSD, including its makers, and whether it utilizes the new PCIe 4.0 standard, which I don't know. But Sony says it has raw bandwidth higher than any SSD available for PCs. So I guess that's something positive, a bandwidth higher than any SSD available for PCs. And PCs is the standard for like gaming and just technology in general when it comes to the whole gaming aspect of stuff. So when you saying that there's a raw bandwidth higher than any SSD available for PCs, that really says a lot, especially when you're talking about a console. So Sony, the raw read speed is important, but so are the details of the input-output mechanism and the software stack that we put on top of them. I got a PlayStation 4 Pro, and then I put in a SSD that costs as much as the PS4 Pro. It might be 1/3 faster, so that's good to hear. So it says no farther info was shared regarding services and other features, game prices, but Sony confirmed that their next gen console will be backwards compatible with PS4 games, and that's good to hear. Backwards compatibility. At first, I used to make a big deal about backwards compatibility, especially during the time when the PS2 was first released, and the PS2 had at launch, I mean, it had really no game selections at all. It took months before we actually got games. So PS1 was still releasing games. Like during the time I got the PS2, I got it during launch. Final Fantasy IX had just released for the PlayStation 1, so most of my PS1 games I ended up playing on my PS2. I needed those games in order to hold out on the drought that the PS2 had as far as games is concerned. And developers wasn't releasing these games fast enough. So at that time, backwards compatibility had became important to me, and it started becoming less important as, I guess you could say, the Xbox 360, well, last generation. It really became not really that important to me. But this generation, I think is pretty cool, is because PS4 still has a strong library, games are still releasing, and PS5, if they're going to release this console, it makes sense, especially if they're going to, if it's still sharing the same architecture as far as the hardware is concerned. It makes sense to be able to still be able to play PS4 games and to still keep PS4 running and still alive, still supporting it. So for those who do convert over to PS5, it'd be easy to transition over and still be able to play that big huge library of games. I got a whole bunch of games over here, which I'll probably show later on in another video. It's good to hear that I'm able to play all those easily once the PS5 come out. So backwards compatibility is really good. You can just easily be able to transition over to the next gen console while still be able to play and still purchase PS4 games while we wait until more PS5 games start to come up, come out and release consistently. So I think that's a good thing. Overall, this is really looking good. I'm really looking forward to see more info being released on the PlayStation 5 and everything. I definitely want to hear your thoughts about this. What do you think about the PlayStation 5? Are you looking forward to this, or are you going to pick up the PS5, or are you going to wait and sit back and see what the rest of the competition do as far as Microsoft with their next generation console, which I'll just call it the Xbox 2? Do you think the Xbox 2 is going to be on par with the PlayStation 5, or do you think the Xbox 2 is going to be underpowered or more powerful than the PlayStation 5? Definitely want to hear your thoughts on that, and what games could possibly launch around the release of the PS5. I'm looking forward to that as well. Hopefully we'll hear some news on Capcom, whether or not we hear some news on Street Fighter 6, or maybe Namco, Bandai Namco will probably give us some information on Tekken Cross Street Fighter. We can just keep our fingers crossed on that one. It could be a possibility, who knows, don't know, but I'll be definitely super excited about that. So that pretty much wraps up this video. If you like the video, share, pass it around. If you want to be notified of more information regarding PlayStation 5, stay tuned on my channel, hit the notification bell for more info. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.